I'm David. Thank you for joining me in this how to play video of Sagrada. If you haven't had a chance, please check out our playthrough and review video. Sagrada is part of our project to do videos on the top 100 family games according to users on Board Game Geek. As of October 2019, Sagrada is in the top 20 of that top 100 list. And behind me is a sample of the top 20 family games. So Sagrada is a score the most points game over 10 rounds drafting dice. So let's take a look at the components first and set up the game. So here is the round tracker. We're going to draft dice over 10 rounds. Each player is going to get different pattern cards here. So I'm going to show you a setup for 2 players. So these are shuffled up and given 2 per player. So here's my 2 cards, and here's Julie's 2 cards. The remaining ones are put off to the side. But before a player decides which card they may want to pick, we're also going to shuffle up objective cards. Now these are private objective cards that look like this. So each player will get 1 card. So for me, I'm going to get bonus points for every blue die I place on my window frame of the face value. So if I place a blue 1, it's worth 1 point. If I place a blue 6, it's worth 6 points. So I may want to go for a window pattern card here. Now they're double-sided, so you have 4 choices. You'll see these dots here in the right-hand corner. This represents how many favor tokens you will get, and also coincides with the difficulty. So this is not as difficult with 4 favor tokens as these 2 sides. Now what makes this side more difficult? Because when you're placing dice, I have to place a 5 here. I have to place a green die here. So the more requirements there are, the harder the window pattern is. So I'm just going to go with 1 because I definitely do not want this one because it has a ton of purple. I'm going to go with 1 that has the most blue on it since I want to get those anyway. So what you do then is you slide it underneath like this. So every player is making their choices at the same time. And because that was a 4 pattern card, I get 4 favor tokens. Now let's see what Julie has here. Hers, she's going for green now. It would have been nice if I would have forgotten that one, but Julie got that card. Wow, so she doesn't have... Well, she's probably going to go with the easier one here. See, you could even have ones that are up to 6. So I guess she'll just go for this one because it has a lot of white spaces that she can place green. So she slides that in. She didn't get the most ideal window pattern cards that goes with her private objective. And she gets, oh, I forgot, how many? She gets 5 favor tokens. She takes those out of the bag. And by the way, these are worth 1 point each if you don't use them at the by the end of the game. All right, so each player has chosen their private objective and their window frame card. I'm sorry, their window pattern card to go into their window frame. Just want to make sure I'm using the right terms here. If you want to see what an easier card looks like, so here's a 3 pattern. It just has more variety and the requirements are not as severe. All right, so back to the setup. You'll see that there are a deck of public objectives. So we shuffle these up and 3 will be revealed, which means every player can try to go for these. And you won't calculate this until the end of the game. And then you'll do 3 tool cards. This is where you can use your favor tokens to try to manipulate the dice. This is an effort to mitigate some of the luck when we pick dice out of the bag and roll them. So let me go over, so the rest of the cards are put off to the side. So there is some variability between every setup of the game. So let's go over the 3 public objectives. So this says here that anytime you get a pair of 1s or 2s onto your window, into your window frame, you'll get 2 points for every 1 and 2. Doesn't matter what color they are. Here, count the number of diagonal adjacent same color dice. So if you can get, for instance, 3 blue diagonally, that would be, well, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or 3 yellow right here. So that this person, if this is what they had on their window frame, would score 7 points. So this is nice for Julie right here, because if she gets those 4 blue there, that would be 4 points. And if she got like another blue here, and maybe even another blue here, she could even get 6 points. This one says here, color variety. Sets of 1 of each color anywhere. So it doesn't matter if they're what row or column they're in. If you have a set of all 5 possible colors in the game, that's 4 points. If you have 2 sets, it would be worth 8 points. There are other public objectives, such as column color variety, where you try to get 4 of the 5 colors in a row. Number variety, color variety in a column. I'm sorry, that's a column. This is a row, so you'd have to use all 5 colors to get that. This is if you get pairs of 3s and 4s. If you have 1 through 6, at least a set of that, that's worth 5 points. And then here, if you have a column of different numbers, they don't have to be sequential, so that's good to know that. And then a pair of 5s and 6s. So those are all possible public objectives. By the way, the other private objectives, it's the same thing, it's just different colors of the 5 possible colors. So here's our public objectives. And every player, they may want to know these before they pick their pattern card, because knowing this would have influenced Julie taking that card. I just didn't go in the proper order. So in other words, every player should have an opportunity to know what the pattern, what the public objectives are, their private objective, and the tools before they pick their pattern card to go in the window frame. I just did it a little bit out of order. So back to now the tools. So you're going to use your favor tokens to activate these tools. So this says here, move any 1 die in your window, ignoring the color restrictions. So that means if I have a red die here, already placed, I can move it over to a blue spot. Normally you can't do that. This one here is after drafting, re-roll the drafted die. It cannot be placed, return it to the draft pool. So this is a way, so if you don't, so you say you want that color of the die, but you don't like the number on the die you're picking, you can re-roll it to try to get a better number. Here is, after drafting, return the die to the dice bag and pull 1 die from the bag. Choose a value and place the new die, obeying all placement restrictions, or return it to the draft pool. So let's say I don't want to have a purple die, I put it back in the bag, and then I pull a random one. But whatever die I pull, I get to set the value. So there are other tools. I'm not going to go over them all, but you see there's plenty of variety here of tools. So now the game is set up. There's really 2 basic actions in the game, and you don't even have to do them if you don't want. You're going to pick 2 dice from the bag for each player, plus 1. So in this 2-player setup, I'm going to pick 5 dice. So here I've picked 5 dice. So let me go over the actions real quick. So you're going to take turns going, who goes first, rotating it around the clockwise around the game. So I'll say I go first, Julie would go next. If you're playing with a 3rd player, that person would go next the following turn. So in other words, start player rotates. Within the turn order, though, on that turn, you could draft one die, and since I'm going first, I'll be able to draft one of the 5. Or I can activate a tool, and the first person to activate a tool will spin 1 favor token. The next person to do it, and it could even be the same player later on, would spin 2 favor tokens, and so forth. So even if a person uses a third time, it would take 2 favor tokens. So the thing to remember is the first time a person uses a tool, it costs 1 favor token. So you can draft a die, or use a tool, or do both actions, or pass and not even draft a die or use a tool at all. So it's very simple. So I'll do an example turn here, because when it gets to the last person in turn order, then it goes counterclockwise. So the last person will get to draft 2 dice because they didn't have the advantage of having as many dice to pick from. So that's a little bit of the balancing mechanic in the game. So here we go. So here are the 5 dice I pulled from the bag. I'm the first player. And I'll go over the placement rules. So on the very first turn, first placement for all players, you must place on the outer edge. You cannot place in the middle 6 squares here. So I could place this 5 yellow here. I could place the 1 green here, because I just have to follow the number, or as they say, the shade. I think that's what they call it. Let me see here. Yeah, they call them, in the game they call them shades. I don't have any blue dice, so I can't put it here. Now on the white window frames, window frame spots, I can place any color I want here. Here, I don't have any 2s. I could place the green 3 or the purple 3 here. Again, green can go here, yellow. I don't have any blues. I can put any die here. The 4, yellow could go here, here, or here. Now it's important what I decide to do now, because let's say I place the purple 3 here. This means that I cannot have another purple here or another 3 here. So one of the important rules to remember is wherever you place a die, you cannot have a die of the same color or same number as a die that's adjacent to it orthogonally. In other words, side to side, up and down. So in the column or row. So if I cannot have another 3 here or another purple die here. I cannot have a green 3 here, but I can be a green die, and I cannot have a purple 2 here. Now diagonally, I can have a purple here or another 3. So let's say I do that. So now the 4 dice pass. Well, actually, let me see what my objective is. I want blue, so yeah, that's okay. So now it passes to Julie. She wants green, so this is a good one for her. So she'll place the 1 here because it needs to be a 1. Well, ideally, though, she wants green dice of the highest value. So maybe she'll place the 3 instead. She'll place the 3 here. Now she gets to go again. Knowing the public objectives, she wants all 5 of colors, or so maybe she'll just do another color here. So the next die she places has to be adjacent orthogonally, side to side or up and down, or in the same row or column, or diagonally. So because she is last in turn order, she gets to go again. So she's going to not place that green right now. And even then she couldn't. Actually, she could place it here diagonally. But she wants to get another color in the game to try to get the 5 colors. So she'll do the 5. So now the 2 dice pass back to me. So I could do the green here, which is what I'll do. Now this 4 is not used. And if I passed, let's say I passed, then both dice would go to the turn tracker right here. And so that's where you put dice that are not used. Now the reason why you put all dice there and keep it the same side, because there are some tools that you can use to use to activate unused dice. But let's say I did use that that green one. And why would I use the green one? Because I want to get pairs of 1s and 2s. So that goes here. So that's the first turn, first round, I should say. And now Julie will go next, and she'll draw 5 dice. Again, she did not get any blue. No, I'm sorry, she wants green. I'm thinking, wow, no blue. What a bummer. All right, so that'd be nice to. She can't use the yellow there, so she can't put anything there. Let's say, though, she made a mistake and put it here. At the end of the game, that would come off, and it could affect her ability to get pairs of 1s and 2s or complete any other victory condition. So if a die comes off or there's empty spaces in your window frame, that's -1 point. So let's say she did that by mistake. Now, I could point it out to her to be as another player, but in this case, I want to show that it's a mistake. All right, so I still don't have any blue dice. I do want to get a variety of colors, so I'll place this 5 here. Again, I can't place it over here. Every time I place a die, it has to be, like I said, orthogonally or diagonally adjacent. So I can't go all the way over here or even over here, so I'll place it here. Now I get to go again. I want to try to get adjacent diagonally to do this card. So right now I'm going to get 2 points for that. So now the dice pass back to Julie. Now let's say Julie doesn't like this 5 here. So she's going to spend a favor token. And she's going to do after drafting the die, re-roll the drafted die. So she's going to spend 1 favor token. She's going to roll the 5. She got a 6, which she shouldn't place here because you can't have a 6 adjacent to another 6, so she'll place it right here. And so now this die goes at the top of here. So you play 10 rounds, and you try to place, each player will try to place 20 dice, because on your window pattern, there's 20 spots. And like I said, if there's any spots that you didn't fill in, it's worth -1 point. And if there's any plays that you made that aren't proper, you remove it, and that would be worth -1 point. So let's take a look at scoring now at the end of the game. So I have a pattern here from the playthrough, but with different objectives. So let's say this was my window frame at the end of the game, and I used 3 of my favor tokens. So I look at the public objectives, the private objective, and I'll keep track. So the round tracker flips over, and you keep track of the score right here. And again, the object is to get the most points. So here is my score token. So right away I have 1 point for an unused favor token. But I'm also -1 here, -2. So I'm actually -1 right now. So I'll just put it back to this spot. Because I have -2 for having 2 unused areas. Let's say I placed this wrong, which I did. Well, actually, to show that it was placed wrong. Let's say I had that placed there. I get to decide now which one I want to remove. Do I remove this 6 or this 6? I'll remove this one. And there might be an advantage to not actually, the advantage would be not removing that one because I'm getting diagonal purples. So I'm going to remove this yellow. So because that 6 was misplaced, I get to decide which one I want to remove. So I have -2 for 2 open spots, but +1 for an unused favor token. So I'm really -1 right here, not 50. All right, so how many blues do I have? Let's do my private objective. I have 5, 10, 14, 15, which is actually 14 for that -1. All right, so I've scored that. Now I look at all colors that are adjacent diagonally. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How many do you have to have? It doesn't say how many have to be, and it could even be 2. So let me try that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm sorry, I'm missing the counts here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, you don't count it twice. So I'm thinking that it's another game like Azul where you count it twice. So you got to be careful of that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9. So now I'm at 23. Okay, now how many of the 5 colors do I have? My least color is yellow. So I have 2 yellow. Do I have 2 green? Yes. Do I have 2 purple? Do I have 2 blue? Yes. So I do have that. So it's 8 points because I met that condition twice. So it's 8 plus 23 is 31. How many pairs of 1s and 2s do I have? So how many 1s do I have? I have 2 1s. I have at least 2 2s, so that's another 4 points. So if I did everything right here, I have 35 points. And then I would compare my points to Julie, and whoever has the most points wins. Now if there is a tie, let's see. Ties are broken by most points from private objectives. So if there was a tie, I would count the number of blues I have, because that was my private objective, and Julie would count the number of greens she has. Finally, most remaining favor tokens would break that tie. Let's say you tied again after that. And then, so if I had 1 favor token left, and Julie had 1 favor token left, but you go in reverse player order in the final round, if Julie had gone last, even though we tied with most favor tokens, she would win because she went last in round 10. So that's how to play Sagrada.